We're over 45 days into 2023. So, how are those New Year's resolutions treating you? Are you happy with your results? You might think that your fitness goal or your relationship goal or your Bible reading goal have nothing to do with your money, but I disagree. Today, let's talk about your results, if you're happy with them or not, and the three key things I'd ask you to evaluate if you were one of my clients. So, let's do this. Welcome back to another episode. Let's talk about if you are happy with your results. You set those New Year's resolutions. We're 45 days into it. Are you happy? Happiness is a choice. So that's almost like a trick question. Okay. So if you're happy with your results or not, again, we go back to being a choice. But the question that's probably more accurate is, are you seeing progress? Have you made that forward progress that you're looking for on your path to those unstoppable finances, on your path to whatever it might be that you're looking towards? Funny story about Bible reading plans, I'll have to share with you in just a second. But whatever that goal is that you're working on, like, are you seeing like forward progress, that momentum? Like we talked about, let's see, last week. And that's why the bonus that I had for you for the academy was that unstoppable support, because the hardest thing to do is get started. Once you get going, the little engine that could, the hardest thing to do is get that movement, start getting up the hill. Once you're getting that momentum and going, it becomes so much easier, which is why I wanted to sit down with you and take that look into those goals and the progress you've made here on those 45 days. Because if you've started to gain a little bit of progress, a little bit of traction, then you're on the right path. And congratulations. I'm so happy for you. But my oldest, William, and I are actually listening to a podcast. It's called the 10-Minute Hour Bible Podcast, but he's doing a series where he recaps one book of the Bible each day, like kind of like 10,000-foot view of the concepts. And you really are able to see the overall theme, which is, we are flawed people now from the sin of Adam and Eve, and God's redemptive plan throughout the whole thing. And it's done, they're about 13 minutes, with the intro, extra, all of those things, intro, outro, all those things. But each episode is over on one chapter of the Bible. So we're together all the time, but having time to listen to the podcast has been a little bit more difficult. So we were listening to Numbers. Let's see, Genesis, Exodus, Numbers, Leviticus. I know Numbers was one of them, but there was another one we were listening to as well, like right in that area, the Pentateuch, the first five books of the Bible. Okay. But Mike, I think is his name. This is so bad. Mark. I'm going blank. Anyways, the podcaster was talking about, like, the overall theme of the Bible, and he's like, this is where all read the Bible in a year plans go to die, because it can be a little strenuous in the beginning and some of those details, and it's just kind of dry. There's not those stories in there. It's not the fun part, right? The part that we have to do to get going. And I just laughed so hard at it as somebody who's done the reading a Bible in the year plan before. That is a very difficult time. And like when they talk about the genealogy and the law was given and all of those things, like it can be a little harder to get through. But I've made it through it. I've done it. Have you ever read the Bible in a year successfully? You'll have to let me know. But I just thought it was so funny because it's so true. We get into those like weeds, and like it doesn't feel like it's ever going to get any better. But now that we've talked about if your goals are making you happy, let's talk about like how you can achieve those goals. So are you seeing any results, right, on that thing that you're working for? Have you kept up with it and you're making progress, but you haven't seen like the huge results you were looking for, but you're seeing a little bit of progress? You're probably on the right track, because like we said, the hardest thing to do is get going. And as you build momentum, you're going to see more and more results, but you got to get that forward momentum going. Then you might also be thinking, like, what happens when I don't achieve my goals? So the question I would ask you then is, what stopped you? Is it something where like life happened and, some of that's expected and some of that's unexpected, but how you handle that is a deciding factor. And then did you set it up to the point where like the expected part of life happening, there wasn't like flexibility room in there. There wasn't room to be able to grow and when life happens like that. Said that like 3 times now, but when life happens, we have to be able to handle life happening. Again, that's why we talk about unstoppable finances, because it's not this picture perfect rainbow butterflies thing. Like, this is real life. How you handle the everyday stuff that happens matters. So, what stopped you? And you have to get real with yourself. You have to really take a perspective, and you can say, like, somebody got sick or this happened, but like when you had the time, are you browsing Facebook or Instagram instead of doing what we need to do? Or are you doing the fluff stuff instead of the need to do stuff? Once you sat back and reflected on that, then we can talk about like, okay, what now? How can you achieve your goals? Like, okay, we're 45 days into it, but 2023, we're not ready to write it off yet. How can someone achieve their goals? So, first question is kind of what now, right? And you've got a couple responses, and that really depends on you and where you're at. Are you going to be unstoppable? Are you going to keep at it? Are you not going to let things slow you down or hold you back? You might slow down, but you're not going to stop, because I know you want more than that. Are you changing the goal? This isn't always bad, because you could realize the goal that you set isn't actually what you wanted to achieve. I've done that before. This like big shiny goal, you think you want to have, and then you start working towards it and you're like, this is just miserable. This is not for me. So if you're in that spot, you want to change the goal, then change the goal. Go for it. No stress, no problem, nothing. And then the last part here, that when you're thinking about achieving your goals, I want you to think about, or I'd ask you to evaluate, is, are you going to get support and help there to make it there faster? I know I would if I could. Like, that, accelerate the path, least pain possible. It's not that we're going to avoid the pain. We talk about that, but having somebody in your corner, that's pretty darn important. There was a lot jam-packed into that one. Okay. We talked about achieving your goals. If you were happy with your results, how happiness is actually a choice. And that was almost a trick question. And then if you're actually seeing progress, are you getting any of those results and you just need to keep at it? If you aren't seeing progress and you haven't achieved the goals, we talked about what stopped you and how you can move forward or kind of evaluate what the cause is behind that, because it's all going to be individual and how you handle that moving forward. And then really there's 4 things that we talked about on how you can achieve your goals. And the first question, if you missed it, was like, what now? The second one was, are you going to be unstoppable and keep at it? The third one was, are you going to change the goal? And remember, that's not always a bad thing. And then the fourth one was, are you going to get support so you can get there faster? Now, your challenge for this week, a little bit different. Today, I want to hear what one of your favorite podcasts are, aside from Your Money, Your Life. Well, actually, if you love this one, please tell me too, because I want to hear from you and I want to know that you do love this podcast. But maybe in addition to Your Money, Your Life, what is one of your favorite podcasts that you listen to all the time? I want to hear. Make sure you send it to me, Instagram at Aimee Cerka, or send me a text, 817-969-4653. That's it for now. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening to the Your Money, Your Life podcast. Wondering what's next? When you're ready, there are different levels of support that you can use on the path to creating unstoppable finances and your unstoppable life. After all, your finances are unique and your support should be too. Ultimately, we'll create a customized plan to ditch financial struggle for good that works for you, your goals, your priorities, your life. Go to workwithaimee.com to get started with one of our most popular programs, or you can book a Q&A call with me and we'll figure out what your next step should be.